You guys all?
Hello. Meeting starting.
Okay, if you guys would all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Next on the agenda is the roll call. Jamie, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Queenie Barr.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Fred Brooks.
Here.
Trustee Mark McWhorter.
Here.
Trustee Denise Bryan.
Here.
Trustee Betsy Harrison.
Here.
Trustee Cindy Simpson.
Here.
Trustee Ed Hallam.
Here we have a quorum, so we will continue on. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
And we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Fred Brooks and seconded by Trustee Denise Bryan to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sound. Motion carries. Next is the approval of the minutes of January 26, 2022, and I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve the minutes of January 26, 2022, as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Brent McWhorter and a second by Trustee Betsy Harrison to approve the minutes of January 26, 2022, as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sound. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is audience business. First, we have Mary Ann Griffin. If you would come to the podium, state your name.
I'm Mary Ann Griffin, a former resident.
Wait a minute. Okay, state your name and address for the.
I'm a former
5 minutes.
resident of Mancos, but I currently live at 381 South Redlands Road in Grand Junction. I have a project here that I want to share with you, so may I come forward and give you.
Thank you.
Whoops, excuse me. Let me just throw it at you while I'm at it, huh? That's from here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you have a copy for? Do you have an extra?
This project all started as my husband's fault. He died. And he had a brand. And so I went to Steve Williams and asked him if he could create a sculpture involving the brand. As we sat and talked, I realized, and I remembered, and we brainstormed this, was when I worked at the Chamber of Commerce, there was a huge interest in how do we preserve the brands. You go around town and you'll see them burnt into the columns at the Columbine and the tabletop at Zuma's. No name of a person or no name of the ranch that it's associated with is included in that. And part of the artistry in this brands is the connection to a person, a human being. Well, what we came up with is the drawing that you see before you. We got a hold of the brand inspector. There are approximately 40 brands in Mancos Valley. And we have these tiles. Brad Goodell also engaged with Steve Williams on the design of this project so that these tiles can be, this is a gate that can be opened and the tiles can be removed. He can pull them out and etch them with a person's name, with the brand, And there's room, because it'll be two-sided, there's room for 40 brands on this. And then the centerpiece will be an explanation, a brief explanation of the history of branding, especially in the Mancos Valley, but this is an international process. There's a lot of history to branding. And this was a project that has come together, and then Marilyn came forward and said, oh, I'd love to make a contribution to this. And that's how the horse became a part of this. Now, if you look at this, it's very structural looking, which isn't typical of most sculptures. You think of a more free-flowing kind of process. But this has to be a sturdy structure that will stand over time and carry the weight of these tiles. Now, one of the things that you can't see in this computer-designated drawing is that Steve will take the kind of steel that's twisted, it looks like rope, and so these will be rope-like structures framing this. And then someone recently asked me, well, why do you have a horse on there? And I said, well, horses are such an integral part of the development of the West. You talk to any cowboy and he'll tell you that many times his horse is smarter than he is and has probably saved him out of a lot of deep trouble. So, yeah, the horse is in part of this. And besides that, there are many horse ranches around here. Over on J Road, they have that quarter horse ranch, but it's still there. And there's also that Therapeutic Riding Academy. Is it still here? Yeah. So horses are an integral part of our community. I've had conversations with people, and they've asked me, well, do you think the structure is actually art? The art is in the artistry of the brands themselves. And this is a structure to house those. And I've tried, Steve and Brad and Marilyn have worked closely with me to create a structure that is sound and strong and sturdy over time, but manageable in cost to me. I sold my house in Mexico, so now I can afford to do this. One of the other questions about this was that initially I had thought that there might be... Yes. Oh, okay. Anyway, but I am seeking your support for this project. I have some pals here, Dr. Cooper Paper and Linda Simmons, and of course Steve Williams and Marilyn are here too. Okay. So if you have any questions, I'm here.
I do have a question. You say there's about 40 brands in the Mancos Valley. What are you going to do if there's a new ranch comes in with a new brand?
Well, you know what? I can't keep everybody happy. But if you look at the structure, there might be a possibility to add something. Guess what?
I'm just asking because
yeah.
I was going to say, my brand's
It's going to be, well, the application process will be first come, first serve, and they have to provide a certification of brand currency, that it's a current brand.
All right. Okay.
So, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Gerald, you signed up for audience business. You're on our agenda, so I'm going to take you out of audience business. Okay, and so the next one is Steve Williams. Please state your name and address for the record.
Steve Williams, 43290 Road J9 Loop here in Mancos. I'm just going to kind of echo what Mary Ann said. I got my brand back in the early 70s. I still keep the brand registered, and you know, I haven't put it on any cows or livestock for probably 40 years, but I do stamp my ironwork with it. But brands are a legacy, and here, you know, Mancos says we want to have, you know, it's Mancos where the West still lives. Well, this is a huge part of the West, their history. So, you know, the farmers and the ranchers, they have their brands, and, you know, they're proud of it. And a lot of the ranchers are gone, but the families still have their brands and they're still using them. So I think they would like to put them on something like this, just to have them memorialized a little bit, if you want to call it that. But in order to keep anybody from putting a brand on this, your brand has got to be registered with the Colorado State Brand Board. So when they want to get their brand put on, they've got to bring their registration to Brad, and on that registration is the actual brand that's there. He can scan the brand, and then when he puts it on the tile, then it's exactly like it is on the brand. That way we're not going to be getting, just anybody coming in saying, I want to put a cool brand on this. These are going to be all registered brands. And Queenie, you had a question whether or not we're going to run out of room. If we run out of room, I can build more outfits for it. So that's no big deal there. So I think it's just a cool idea that she came up with. So I think it'd be kind of a neat thing for the ranchers to put their brands on. And I mean, people coming from and the town visit from other countries and stuff, they could go see what the brands, what they mean, what the purpose of. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. And just so you know, we don't make any decision on audience business at this time. If we have questions, we do, but it will be, if the board's interested, they will discuss it later. Okay, moving right along to announcements.
I don't have many. The county approved our 1 mile IGA. So as soon as I get that signature from Shaq, Queenie, and Jamie will sign, and then we'll have an executed 1 mile plan with the county.
Great.
We do have to do that every year, but it'll be much easier because we haven't done it in a while. So the one in the 3 mile plan, we already approved the 3 mile plan, but the IGA, it's on my calendar every year, so you guys have seen that. But they did approve that. I attended a workshop virtually on Monday with the county commissioners, and they were gracious enough to approve that with their changes. So, and then I may be traveling again February 20th to February 22nd. So I will send you all an email if I finalize those plans on tomorrow or the next day. That's pretty much all I have. I'm pretty focused on one project right now. So those are the only announcements that I have. I don't know if Terry has any announcements for you.
This year in Public Works budget, we have $50,000 budgeted for equipment replacement. And I am competing on a newer water truck. So if everything works out, I will bring you more information next meeting.
Nice. Does the board have any, Georgia, would you please shut that door? They're talking out there and there's echo in here. Does the board have anything?
Yes, I'd like to just thank Terry. I understand it's kudos to him for getting all the pictures in the lobby. And I think it's beautiful. It's a great display, and I was really impressed with it.
Yeah, it's nice.
They've been hiding in the back closet for years.
Very nice. Thank you. Next is the treasurer's report, the January bills and claims, and any questions?
I do. The Zuma Natural Foods MSOD grant for almost 60 grand. What's that?
That is our revitalizing Main Street grant that
Okay.
we've been doing.
Okay.
So
I
that's
thought
their
that's what it
50%.
was. Okay, I thought that's what it was, but I just wanted to make sure.
And a question along with that. So we maintain the grant, right? We are,
We're the
Administering it.
grantee.
we're the grantee.
Yes.
We're the one, okay.
And there are 6 sub-grantees, businesses in town.
Yeah, so, and they're all on here. Well, 3 of them.
The ones who have requested 50% upfront are on here. There are some that have either not started their project, which Jamie and I will be dealing with this month, or are going to just pay for it and then we'll reimburse them. So these are just the people that asked for that 50%.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
I have 2 questions on this. Number 1 is all that stuff on the bridge, the end of it. Oh, fudge.
It will never.
I thought I was asking a question that was gonna make us all feel good when we heard the answer.
No.
No, there's a retainage invoice for E&O. We received the final Troutner invoice today, and I'm waiting for the final SEH invoice. Troutner is the materials testing that's required by CDOT. SEH is our engineer on the project. There's still, our engineers going back and forth with CDOT on the final paperwork. But it will be done and we'll get our final invoices, so you'll see those in next month's.
And I had another question. There's something on there called Lexipol membership. And I was just wondering if you could clarify that a little bit. I know it has something to do with Marshal's office and public safety, but
Lexipol 2022 bill dues.
Lexipol is the company that we use at CERSA's recommendation to write the policy manual for the Marshal's office.
gotcha. Okay. And then you keep a membership with them so that,
Every time there's new legislation, they push out a policy update.
oh, great.
And Lexipol pushes it to all of our police officers. And all of our police officers have a certain amount of time to review it and acknowledge that they've received it and understand it.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
It's
terrific.
awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, they take care of our legislative updates, then they amend their policies, and then they say, here's what you guys need to do.
Any other questions on the budget? Then I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve the bills and claims as presented by staff.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by trustee Cindy Simpson and a second by trustees Betsy Harrison and Denise Bryant to approve the January bills and claims as presented by staff. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Moving right along to the January bills, to the committee reports, Region 9.
Yes, they had their meeting on, that was the end of January like 27th. I'll just kind of summarize here. They talk about a lot of stuff. So, like this meeting, we reviewed and approved their budget, including their revenues and expenditures. 66 loans were paid off. Now, this is from October through December of 2021. So 66 loans were paid off. And also during that time, they had an increase of people requesting loans. We also talked about the strategic work plan for 2022. They want to enhance access to capital. So they're working on how to do that. They're also talking about how to sustain Region 9. They also have part of that strategic plan is to recruit, retain, expand, and diverse businesses. And sort of how that relates to us is under this, they're going to support like at the county levels and help with economic development. They want to administer and promote more of the EZ zones, those enterprise zones, tax credits and projects. Part of the example of that would be like rural housing projects, land acquisition, Emerge Colorado. Then Scape, that's their investment people, they did really well. People are getting, I thought this was pretty interesting, they exceeded And investors are like 9 times the average return on their investments. So that little program is going well. They talked about marketing, how to market Region 9. So they were talking about so more businesses, how to reach more businesses. They're coming up with an advertising strategy, like maybe working with the chambers. Another big topic was the opioid settlement. So they're still waiting for the amount, and everybody's pooling their money in the region. And they're starting an advisory members. So they're looking for people to join this board, and it's they're calling it the Southwest Opioid Response District. And so they're trying to this advisory board, they want like town members, maybe, people who know about addictions and medical personnel. So more information will come on that. On their website, if you want to apply to be part of that board, they're looking for members, and you can apply on there. They're still in process of combining with that Southwest Council of Governments. So now they've come up with a plan, and they're going to combine. And Region 9 is kind of taking over what the Council of Governments is, but they're still maintaining their board, and Region 9 still maintaining their board. But they did sign an agreement between the two boards. And the best part at the very end was they had this Ed Moreland Award, and it was awarded to Shaq. They brought Shaq onto the meeting and his board for their economic development. And it was I felt a real proud moment to be part of, the Montezuma County and that. So that was a big deal to have Shaq awarded that award.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good
a lot of
report.
stuff.
Yeah, but it's a long meeting, it's an all-day meeting, so.
Yeah.
You got a lot out of it. CDOT,
CDOT will be tomorrow morning at 9.
Stay tuned.
What are they gonna talk about?
That's the kind of report I'd like to hear.
okay, Gerald, now you're on. You get to come up and tell us the Montezuma County Commissioner update.
I think most of you know me. I'm Gerald Copenafer. I was appointed to replace Joel Stevenson after our tragic loss of him by the Central Committee, Republican Central Committee. I guess a couple of things, like you were reported that we did approve the 1 mile GA and stuff yesterday. That got a final approval at the meeting. We had some conversation the other day about the property up here on the hill and the gravel pit. I guess what I need from you guys is, I need an idea of how you think we should turn this back to you. Over the years, we got a problem because we can't just give you 15 acres with our land use code, because then we're violating our own land use code because we're creating a single lot development. It's less than the legal size unless we issue a variance for every one of those lots that we turn back. So we've got some issues as to how we can do it also, but I need some direction from you, how you think it should happen. And I'm not saying it has to be tonight, but somewhere along the line, we got to work this thing out. Okay? I mean,
Is this issue of you can't turn it over like 15 acres, is that just a new realization? Because I haven't heard that in any of our prior conversation that I recall.
I don't think they were thinking about our land use code, because if we turn it back to you in a 15-acre parcel, we just created a single lot, a 15-acre single lot that we turn back to you.
But Gerald, I have a question. It doesn't belong to you guys. You guys have leased it from the town.
Well, see,
It
that's what
no, it was deeded to them.
Okay, never mind.
So we deeded the acreage in the middle to the county. First they leased it, you are correct, they did originally lease it. And then they deeded it to the county with the condition that they return it back. I would ask, because this is the first that we're hearing about this, we've been talking to the county about this at a staff level since 2016. It escalated to a board to commission level in March of 2021. This is the first we've heard of that. I would ask that if that is a question, that we be allowed to do some research, and then maybe we can schedule another joint board
I agree.
and commissioner workshop.
We just need to work out what's gonna happen there with it, as far as I'm concerned. We need to get on the same page.
Right.
So we can make it work for both of us. I mean, it's just, I know before, during those conversations, they were not thinking, because that deeded property, when we deed it back, it has to meet our land use code too. We can't violate it if we're expecting everybody else to follow it. We cannot violate the thing.
And what's the acreage?
Well, it's gotta be either 35-acre tract.
That's what I'm saying. So you could do it in 35 acre
Yeah.
parcels.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it, because we own a little land around the gravel pit. So you wouldn't necessarily be just giving us an island, it would abut the existing. So we could just do a boundary adjustment after the subdivision.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure.
Yeah,
But that's what
and
I'm
that,
saying.
and that could happen. See, I'm not exactly sure how the deed is on it, personally. I haven't looked at it a long time, so I don't remember exactly how the deed is on there, but,
You're just coming.
or how many acres is in
And
the
you're
park.
just coming in and kind of got this thrown at you too, so.
And this
We're-
is the first we've heard of that, so
Right.
that's why I say, I would ask that we have some time
Oh, yeah.
to figure this
I
out,
mean,
and I'll talk to
I
Sharon.
just want us to get going on this thing, so eventually we can get this worked out. I'm not expecting, we just need to get it worked out so we can take care of this in the future.
Well, there
And
was
I-
somebody supposed to be coming down and inspecting the property from the state. Now, did that all follow through? Did they come?
Yes, they did.
Oh, good.
And some of it they released.
Okay.
You have to get so much of a stand of grass back on it. Well, it's been pretty hard the last couple of years, more rain than we've had. So that's been a tough thing for them to get the weeds under control and get a good enough stand of grass that the state will release it. Because you have to go back in and reclaim it and seed it for the state to release that. And so it has to have certain conditions met before they'll release it. So until that happens, they can't turn it back. But they can't just turn it back in little partials either.
And that's the.
So it's 50,
That's the
it's
issue
50
to me.
acres.
That's the thing we
It's
just heard,
50.
because we thought it was a done deal.
Well, it should, and I need to look back and see if we can, and get the lawyer to look at it, because that agreement was, and I can't remember, I think it was that we were supposed to turn it back in 10-acre tracts.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Something like
I
that.
think that's what,
Something like that.
something like that.
Anyway,
Back in 10-acre increments as it's mined out.
yeah, see, and that's the thing that we, once it was deeded to us, we go to deed back, we can't deed it back in 10-acre tracts, in which we do a variance on every one of them,
well,
or we do
Well,
a
unless you do a boundary.
boundary line.
so there's, it's 50 acres, correct?
Well, and that's why I say, you're coming into this in the middle, so I don't need to be difficult. However, we've been talking about this. Originally, there are 20 acres that are completely unminable that were supposed to be turned back and weren't. And then there was 21 or something acres that were supposed to be turned back. And the county pulled their application to the state in November and have not resubmitted. And now we're hearing that there's potentially a land use code violation. So that's why I'm saying I would ask for some time to do some research. Maybe we can meet with Commissioner Copenhagen, either individually or as a board or whatever, but every time we get close to resolution and we are told that this is happening, something else comes up. We were never advised that the county pulled their application in November. We had to reach out to the state. So,
So our
again, I
tempers are a
don't mean to be
little,
difficult, but in
Oh,
March of 2020,
I don't think you're being difficult. I just want to find out how we are we gonna proceed? Because I need to know the difficulties you've had, because I'm new.
I need to
I haven't been there for 9 years, so.
if the land use code of the county is a stumbling block, I need to have time to review that land use code and find out what that solution is. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yes.
Maybe in the meantime, you mentioned your legal people, maybe you could address the issue of boundary adjustment and see if that would work.
Yes. If we can do it that way, we can make that work. You know, that's a
Because I think
possibility
it just
too.
becomes part of our larger parcel. It's not a separate 15-acre standing by itself.
Yeah, that's not.
It just goes from the county back to the town parcel, so it's not.
Which is 150 some acres.
Well, but I do need to make sure that their land use code has a mechanism for that. Do you know what I mean? I don't want you to violate your land use
so I
code.
think he might can, talk to his legal person, you can talk to your legal person. And then maybe we have a meeting with Gerald, and Gerald come up with some ideas and you come up and we sit down and talk. It's gotta work for everybody.
We need to work this thing out.
Yes,
I
we do.
don't need, personally, I don't need a road and bridge department doing this. We need to do this.
Yes.
Thank you,
Okay?
thank you. That's a
We need to
start
make
right
that's-
there, Gerald.
We need to work this thing out and get it done.
So maybe what we
And it doesn't need to be done in any big hurry. We just need to, let's figure it out. Because this thing has been an issue for a long time.
So maybe what we'll do is, David and I will work with Shaq and Ian to figure out this land use code, how to make this work according to their land use code. And then what Shaq and I can do is coordinate a workshop between the board and the commissioners. Once I have the information for you and Shaq has the information for his commissioners, then we can, so staff can work on it once we have the answers, and we can give those to our respective boards. And then we can schedule a joint workshop for the board and the commission to talk about it.
Okay.
Does that work for everybody?
That's fine with me.
That's perfect.
Just so we can get this thing resolved.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. I will reach out to
Welcome,
Shaq.
yeah, welcome.
Thanks.
Thrown into it.
Do you have any other questions of me?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just thank you for taking on
Yeah, thank you.
a hard job. Okay, next on the agenda is our discussion and action items. First off is Resolution 6, Series 2022, appoint the new Mancos Municipal Court Judge and Substitute Judge. Heather?
So, Judge Shager would like to retire, unfortunately. So we advertised, for the position of judge, which is an independent contractor. And, we received 2 applications. One is from a local attorney, that's Padilla, and one is from an attorney in Durango, Michael Winger. They are both extremely qualified and more than capable of doing the job. We are recommending that we appoint the Durango attorney, Mr. Winger, as the primary judge because the judge hears all of our municipal code violations, speeding tickets, that kind of thing. So, to be completely fair, Mr. Winger knows nobody in Vegas, never interacted with anybody in Vegas. And then Ms. Padilla has agreed to be our substitute judge if Mr. Winger is not available. So, if the board approves this by resolution, then we will reach out to both of those applicants and confirm who has approved it, and they will be sworn in by our court clerk at the next appointment. So I included their resumes and letters of interest in your folder as well. questions?
Betsy, you have any comments or anything?
No, I'm aware of both of the attorneys and it's great, great plan.
Cindy?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to have somebody that doesn't have a dog in the hunt, so to speak, you know? And I like the fact that we have a backup. So I think it worked out really well.
And Ms. Padilla, we did ask, obviously, as a small town, one of the questions that we asked was, I mean, I know there's somebody that appears before you, so, you know, we did ask those questions. But we were lucky enough to have both a local and a candidate from another town. This particular, you know, we try to hire local, it would be this particular position.
I think it's a good plan, let's do it.
I agree.
Denise?
No, I think it's a good idea, yeah.
Just what everybody's comments. So I would entertain a motion.
I move we adopt Resolution 6, Series 2022, to appoint a municipal court judge and a substitute municipal court judge.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Brent McWhirter and a second by trustee Denise Bryant to accept Resolution 6, Series 2022, a resolution appointing Mancos municipal judge and substitute Mancos municipal judge. Jamie, would you call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Fred Brooks.
Aye.
Trustee Brent McWhirter.
Aye.
Trustee Denise Bryan.
Aye.
Trustee Betsy Harrison.
Aye.
Trustee Cindy Truitt.
Okay, motion carries. Moving right along is, number 2 is our proclamation procedure. Heather?
Oh, we discussed this at a workshop, and we talked about the procedure. So basically, I have drafted the procedure for your discussion at our last workshop, and then I included our current list of proclamations for your review. So the procedure is completely up to you guys. Please, any suggestions or red lines, let me know. On the current list of proclamations, the only thing I do need to know is, do you want these as they stand? Do you want to just say we have Arbor Day and everybody else can come? I just need a little bit of direction on the current list of proclamations for this year. These are currently on my calendar. I think we've missed National Hospice and Palliative Care Month if I remember correctly. I'll have to go look. But Women's History Month, that kind of thing, those are coming up, so I need to know what you want.
I thought we caught National Hospice Day was in November. I thought we caught it.
It was in November.
Yeah, we caught hospice and then we caught green light of that.
Black History Month we're missing right now.
Maybe that's it. I just know there's one on. So, yeah, just need your feedback. And then if you're okay with the attached procedure, I just need consensus.
Well, the attached procedure says we would strike all but 5 of these at the beginning of the year, correct? So are you recommending we do that for 2022, or just because we have to do Arbor Day, leave Arbor Day in for 2022 and see what applications, requests we get?
Well, that's kind of what I'm looking for. We can either leave these on there this year and then in December of this year, plan for 2023, or we'll all can have a discussion now and say we only want these 5. It can go either way. I just need to, which one you guys want?
Where did 5 come from?
That was at the workshop. It was it's kind of a consensus.
Some other town did that. One of the samples we saw did that.
I think we should just strike the whole thing for now, other than Arbor Day, and let the public bring us stuff.
I totally agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
And maybe keep,
Well, we have to keep Arbor Day. That's the
right,
one
we have
that
to keep Arbor Day and then, okay.
I don't think if you're gonna keep one, I
Well,
mean,
we have to keep
we have
Arbor
to
Day.
keep Arbor Day.
Right.
You're gonna say maybe.
So then after that, I think it
And then
should come
just
up
let
to the
everybody
public
else,
I think so too.
to follow the new guidelines.
because then
Yes.
we're picking and choosing.
Yep, I agree.
Once you all approve this, I will be posting it on our website, putting it on
Yep.
Facebook, so we'll get it out to the public.
Great.
Just
I
so
think
you
that's
know,
the fairest way of doing it, though, is to just strike everything now
Yeah,
and start fresh with the new guidelines, and then see what comes in, and then that way in December, you guys as a board can choose what stays for the next year. And if it's something that,
But if
Yeah.
something comes in this year, for this year, we'll.
oh yeah, no, I think
we'll put on
that's
the
fine.
agenda and we'll deal with it according to the procedures.
Yeah,
Then
but I'm just
next
saying
year,
though, whatever
we'll-
comes in through this new procedure,
We'll slim it down to 5 for
we'll
next
slim
year.
it down to 5 in December or whatever.
Yeah.
That sounds okay to me. I know where we're going with proclamation should be apolitical and non-controversial. However, if we look at the list that we just have in this staff report, over half of those could be considered political and or controversial by somebody somewhere.
Anything can though.
Right,
I mean,
so
like,
what I'm
that's-
saying is,
That's,
I'm not sure
I don't think
that
that,
wording is defined well enough.
that's from another one that we found.
Yeah, I know, but that.
And it was in
doesn't mean
ours
defined it
before.
well enough.
It was in our previous.
Yeah, that's fine, but I'm saying right now, we're talking about this and we need to take a look at it, and I don't think they're defined well enough. So,
I'm sorry, I'm with the mask, I just missed that word. You don't think they're what enough?
defined,
Defined.
apolitical and non-controversial. Because most of these are, to somebody, controversial. So, I'm kind of questioning the wording on that.
I can take that particular sentence out. There is under proclamations will not be issued for, it says matters of political, ideological, or religious controversy or individual conviction. So that's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I just, should I take that out or, should I need a little bit more direction on this. I can do whatever you want me to do, because this again is one of those things where you.
Well, everything's gonna be approved by us anyway.
Right, that's what I was gonna ask.
So, we could leave it in and then question it in light of a request, or we could take it out and deal with it as part of our discussion, I think.
But yeah, since we did discuss that we would be voting on it, I think leaving that sentence in is okay. Because if it is one of those things, then we can say, well,
But it says proclamations will not be issued for,
yeah,
and so we can't just say later that, oh, it's okay if it's controversial.
I'm not,
So right here, it says proclamations will not be issued for.
yeah, I got that right here.
Okay,
Yeah.
but we can't then go back and say, political,
Right,
religious, we can't then approve it.
right.
Period, so,
Don't we have to define if it's controversial or not? When we vote on it? I mean, if we go by that logic, we're gonna have to strike them all and just keep the Arbor Day thing and have no other proclamations.
Potentially.
Yeah.
no,
Because there's always gonna be someone who's not gonna wanna see green light event.
Yeah. Or Pride Month.
Right.
That's controversial. That can get into a political and religious discussion.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, some of these I feel are very important. Black History Month, could be controversial with a bunch of racists, I mean, it's, so I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't have a good alternative. I usually try to come with alternatives, but I was trying to figure out, like proclamation should be apolitical and inclusive of at-risk communities, because we do a lot about the child abuse and hospice and palliative care, and so I was trying to think of something like that where we would word it in the positive, but I didn't know. The other thing that I was thinking is that I thought we had talked about not issuing a proclamation for existing state and federal holidays.
We did.
we
And
did
the
some
Memorial Day thing was on the list. And so I just want, like, if we were gonna adopt 5 of these to go forward, then I would say we would wanna make sure we didn't do the Memorial Day. But I like Brent's idea of, just do Arbor Day because we gotta do that, and then throw it out to the wind.
Well, and as far as like to address the Memorial Day thing, do you want me to say proclamations will not be issued for existing state and federal holidays? 'Cause
I think so,
I think
so.
that was what was said in the workshop.
Yeah, I think that's what we said,
Like a number 6, yeah.
Existing.
because it's something that's already there, so it doesn't necessarily need more spotlight. We kind of wanted to keep things local with proclamations as well as much as possible, it seemed like in the workshop.
Yeah.
Highlighting local organizations and local causes.
Well, most of these are.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that they're not.
No.
I'm just saying though, like,
That was good.
Memorial Day is,
Right.
that one, like that.
And isn't Mancos Days a resolution,
It's a
not a
resolution.
proclamation? Because you've got it as the sample. You've got Mancos Days as the sample for, on the request.
I turned it into a proclamation.
Oh, right on.
And I used Mancos Days because it's a perfect example of recognition of a local event to honor persons or groups who impact the town of Mancos. And regionally recognized events or activities with local interest.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I was just asking because
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
a resolution, so
I can do something.
No, that's fine.
That's fine.
I just was asking.
It's also not political,
No, it's
so
not.
I just use that as a symbol. But.
Yeah.
And we can change proclamations may be requested for to proclamations shall be requested for or should be requested for. That will tell them what we will consider. If that's easier.
Oh, up top.
I would
Yeah.
say May. I think I'm okay with May. Like you may request these.
Doesn't necessarily
Okay, I have a
guarantee.
question. So if we get a request for a political, ideological, or religious proclamation, does Heather just strike it when it gets to the office, or do we discuss it?
I think it should be struck beforehand because it doesn't meet the criteria to reach the board, but that's just me.
But who decides that?
Yeah, and it may also not be like, hi, we're the Catholic Society and we want to do, Rosary Week or something, I mean, that would be easy.
But
for
I don't
staff
know,
to
I
see,
mean,
but-
if we go by this criteria, it seems it makes it pretty simple. Like, it really invites things like Mancos Days, which is what we want, I think. It's a local, community, non-political event.
Yeah. I just kind of err on the side of caution of not putting staff in a position that is potentially extremely controversial. So if somebody walks in here and says, we want this as a proclamation, and staff's like, oh, I don't think that meets the criteria, but, if they get real demanding, I don't know, what's your take on it?
I think if we're going to,
Fred's talking real fast.
So I will say you do need to make the hard decisions.
Yeah.
So if you choose to say staff has discretion, understand that if it does not meet these criteria, I will tell them I cannot put that on an agenda, here's your criteria. If you disagree with me, you're welcome to address the board during Mondays business. That is what I tell them.
That's good.
Right there.
I always,
Like,
that is
that's
my
it.
standard response when I make a decision that people are unhappy with, that I know you are going to hear about in the post office. This is the criteria, this is what I must do, you're welcome to come to a board meeting and address the board during Mondays business.
I mean, we spend all this time working on criteria. We should just let them follow the criteria
Yeah,
instead of having everything come before the board.
I agree,
I agree.
totally.
The other
Wait a
thing that
minute.
you could do,
Wait a
because
minute.
this is a new policy.
Fred has tried to speak before you, so one of
I'm
us.
sorry.
I think if we're only going to have 5, someone's going to feel left out. And I think that's going to be a problem in the future also.
We're not only gonna have 5.
No?
No, we're just
No, at the
keeping,
beginning of the year, let's say we end up with 10
Oh, okay,
at the end of the year.
Okay.
We're gonna go through and we're gonna say, okay, these are gonna have to reapply if they wanna do it. These 5, we're gonna carry over till next year.
Okay, got it.
And that way, if we see something that keeps coming up every single year that you're doing, we can just keep it on there.
But I thought part of the reason for addressing this was to simplify the process. And I don't know if we've accomplished that whatsoever. I think we've just made it more complex. I think that might be just the way it's played, but, you know,
I was also going to say, this is a new policy. So if somebody submits an application, I will put it on the agenda, and then you all will decide.
Okay.
And you'll have to vote for it. So,
And then it's 7 of us taking the plaque, not just one staff member.
and you can always change this policy later. This is a brand new policy. Maybe you want to reserve these decisions for, and these discussions and these requests for yourselves for the first year or two, so you see what comes through, you hear their reasoning, you get to talk to them, and then maybe in year 3 or year 4, you're like, yeah, it's cranking right along with these things. You can always do that as well, because it is a new policy, new procedure, public may have questions. So, you know, I can always amend this to say, well, and it does, the proclamation request must be received a minimum of 30 days prior to the board meeting where the proclamation will be read. So I can add something that either says all proclamation requests will go to the board, or proclamation requests that are denied by staff or denied by administration or whatever.
During the next available.
But the discussion was they would all come to you, and then you all would decide. That was the discussion at the workshop. Because I think there was so that you all could decide to vote yes or no.
Yeah. So, because if we play it out, like if they, you know, kind of thinking backwards from a meeting where we make a decision and read it into the record, they have to come in 30 days, you know, submit it 30 days before that meeting. If you deny it, there's really only one meeting where they can read it or, you know, like address us at audience business. And then there may not be enough time to get it on an agenda if we decide it's okay, and we're not allowed to talk to anybody through audience business. So that might be kind of awkward. I think it was a good idea, but I think it doesn't.
Now that you say that, and I'm thinking back, I think that was the reason we put the 30 days, so that I could have time to get it on the agenda. Because the expectation was to put it on the agenda and let you
For us to review it.
That was the workshop discussion.
Yeah.
I apologize for not remembering.
Because we were teasing you about, we have to say no.
We have to stay
To their faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I was thinking, like, not staff, it's us making that decision.
So are we saying now that we're not gonna pay any attention to this proclamations will not be issued for? That we're gonna
No.
hear every proclamation?
Well,
Yes.
yeah, the whole thought all along was that we would hear them all, we wouldn't issue them for those.
It's still the criteria to not issue it for
Yeah.
those reasons that are under the not.
But we're still gonna take the application and talk about it,
Yeah, that was what we
Vote on it?
talked about at the work session.
as opposed to Heather saying, sorry, this falls into the won't be issued category and it never reaches us.
That was the discussion, was that you guys would hear them all and discuss and decide in a public meeting. No, it doesn't meet the criteria, we're not approving that. That was the discussion. Is now-
I know, but I'm saying, do we really wanna do it that way?
Yeah, that's totally up to you guys. That's up to you.
we've made no headway here whatsoever.
No.
I think this needs to come back at another workshop.
A workshop?
Oh.
Further discussion?
I mean, we're not getting anywhere tonight on it, so we sit here all night and argue.
Well,
think
what's
it's really
the
an
sticking
argument.
point?
No,
I think
but I
we're,
mean-
I think we're getting somewhere. I think the sticking point is every applicant comes straight to the board, or does it get stopped and Heather makes a decision? I think that's where we're kind of stuck at. Right?
That, That's
That's what I'm getting. So I think then, not to put more work, but how many of these actually come through? I mean, the ones that are on this list have been here since I've been here, and I haven't seen anything different.
It's like 15 a year maybe.
But how many of these are not from members of the board that are on this list right now?
3.
There we go.
National Hospice and Palliative Care Month came from hospice. Veterans Hearing and Speech Month came from our audiologist in town. National Day of the Cowboy came from a citizen of the National Day of the Cowboy organization. All of the other ones came from board members.
No,
Over the years.
the green light,
Except for Arbor Day.
the green light event came from the county.
Okay, so,
But a board member, the county did it, and a board member asked me to add it.
okay, so all these are gonna get wiped out. So if somebody wants this, then they're gonna come back and present this. They're gonna fill out this application and they're coming in. Okay, so if it's not on this list and we feel it's, and Heather reads it and says, well, it doesn't meet the criteria, are we okay with that? Or do we want every single application to come to the board? That's where we're at.
I'll tell you my opinion. I think that Heather can make the decision. If it doesn't meet the criteria, it doesn't come before the board. If there's a question of the criteria or whatnot, then it comes to the board. That's what I think.
I think I like that idea too. I think that if it doesn't meet this criteria, it just, then we aren't gonna vote on it because then it's just gonna get voted. So if it does meet the criteria, then it comes to the board and then we vote on it. But every single one of these that are on this list is gonna have to reapply.
Right, except for operating.
Yeah, and then there might be some more. Okay, so that's what I think, that's where we're moving forward here.
So if we do that, and staff makes the decision of what meets the criteria and what doesn't, why would we vote on it at all? Because if it meets the criteria, then we should just do it, like we do now. Except we're.
I'm just saying though, if there's a
criteria.
question of the criteria, but it's that gray area,
Yeah,
then we have the ability to make the decision yes or no.
Well, if it meets the criteria, you do the proclamation and you bring it to the board meeting
yeah.
and put it on the agenda, right?
But are we approving it or are we just reading it? That's what I'm saying, is if staff is gonna determine if it meets the criteria or not.
Well, Cindy, if it does meet the criteria, then they're gonna bring it to us to vote on it.
But why would we vote on it if it meets the criteria?
Because we may not want it anyway.
We might not want it.
But why? If it meets the criteria, we don't have any reason to deny it.
I don't know, okay.
Fred?
I think we're digging ourselves a hole here. I think we're making this far too complex. I also want to throw in that maybe someone who is in or feels they are in a marginalized group would have trouble actually coming in and preparing a form to request a proclamation. And I think we need to take that into consideration also, if we're going to get way into the weeds with this.
Good point. So I mean, my take is the criteria it is whatever we decide it's gonna be, and we need to decide, is the criteria for staff to make the decisions, or is it the criteria for us to make the decisions?
Yeah.
Because if staff is saying no to most of the people and they're passing stuff through that meets the criteria, then we have no basis to deny it. So that would make it sort of silly for us to vote on it.
So if we had all of these applications come to the board, and we voted on it, is there at some point we can change, we can make a change to this, to make a change to this policy?
But we can change policies whenever we want. We just
Yeah,
have to
so
public.
maybe we start out and have anyone who wants to do a proclamation come to the board, and then if we have like, oh my gosh, you know, every meeting we're having another one or something that, I don't know, something doesn't work, then we change this.
3. All I'm saying is 3 on that list right now would have met the criteria that would come before us for the
That's-
whole year.
That's what
So,
yeah.
as
Well,
Fred
that's
says,
not-
we're digging ourselves a hole right now.
But that's
For
not to
no-
say that these groups won't come in with these, so.
It's not to say that, but until you show me the money, is what I'm saying. As far as people being involved in government right now in this area, we don't see it.
Yeah.
So we could spend the whole night here talking about this and still end up with the same thing. I like the idea of let's try it out for the first year. If we need to make a policy adjustment later, we can. So everything comes before the board for the first year, and then after that, at that December meeting when you're deciding, what stays and what goes, maybe at that point you guys discuss that as well. Does it need a policy change? Is it becoming too cumbersome to have everything come before the board and there's not an issue? That's my take. I'm not up for election, so I don't really care.
Sneaky.
I am.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to say, okay, here's the criteria, and for this year, or the first 2 years, or whatever, it's for us to say yes or no, that's fine. And
What
then if we
happens if
do,
no
like,
one comes? Like, no one comes in for
Well,
Black History Month
then
or?
we're not wasting time reading stuff into the record. But to Fred's point, some people in marginalized communities don't feel comfortable coming in front of people. They don't want to be,
So we wouldn't have a Black History
being a
Month.
scapegoat, so, and
Right.
and just
I mean,
ignore
we-
Black History Month.
We're hard pressed to get folks to come in for audience business for non-controversial stuff.
Mhm.
And we get anything that's even a little bit.
So then what's your solution? Do you think then that we should just leave it the way it is?
I don't understand why we're even
Yeah,
arguing
I
about
don't
it, because
understand why.
we've got, I think take Memorial Day off because it's the state and federal, but the others, there's 10 and we had Mancos days of 11. It's not the end of the world. I don't understand. And then if we have somebody that comes to us, then we could, I don't know, if it means that much to somebody that they're going to come together and ask for it to be done. Somebody's approached us at one time to do this. It means something to somebody. I just don't understand why we're arguing over 10 proclamations and it takes 5 minutes or 2 minutes to read them.
But I just don't, what's the purpose? I mean, why are we issuing a proclamation?
Because they've asked us to,
To shed light on
that
that
particular
particular.
event. It would be like if
Then I think we, being the town, should care about what the proclamation is and then do something else with it besides reading it to an empty room. I mean, I just don't, I object to some of the proclamations that are on the list. That's just me personally, and so I go back and I said, why are we doing it? What are we trying to accomplish as a town?
But I think
And
because
I can certainly see where we would want to make a proclamation for Mancos Days. It's a big thing, it's a community event, and then we would put it on the front bulletin board and put it on the Facebook page and say, hooray, But some of, I don't know,
I guess my feeling is somebody cared enough to do this, and somebody cares enough about, maybe I disagree with some of these, maybe I don't, but somebody cares enough about the Women's History Month that they asked us to do it at one time. We need to read it for those people who care about it. We need to recognize that this is Women's History Month. We need to recognize that it is Black History Month because we have Blacks in our community. And whether I agree with that or whether I don't, it's not my choice. As the mayor, I should be recognizing any and every people in our community. And that's what these do. If they've asked us to do it, then we should do it. And then we should maybe put it out on our Facebook.
But they haven't asked us to do it. We have asked us to do it. Because
At some
all
time,
but three of them came from board members, right? All but three.
Yes.
All but three, yeah.
Which is not to say they wouldn't come from other people.
and so if the board member brought it up, they must have cared enough about it, or somebody asked them to bring it up.
Yeah.
It got brought to us by somehow, some way, and we're not saying this board member, these boards, because it could have been another board. Somebody felt enough about this that they wanted it read. It's important to somebody. It's important to somebody in the community. And it's a
And
level.
that is the reason that we, as a town, do a proclamation, because somebody likes it.
It affects somebody in our community.
Now, if I have a different view on things and I request a proclamation and you don't agree because it's somehow offensive or religious or whatever, and I'm on the board and I'm your boss and you deny my proclamation, where are we going to go with that?
We set the criteria.
I will tell you, that right there is why I have never refused a board member request to put an item on the agenda.
Okay.
I am not, I'll be honest with you all, and I'll give you my opinions,
Right.
but I will never not, what my personal beliefs have no place in my job.
Okay. So
Sorry.
I fall and hit my head and I believe that now I'm a Nazi and I want a proclamation and you put it on there. Okay. So then how do you have any basis to deny anyone else's proclamation that's whacked and way out there?
I have, so not here.
Then it has to go to the
In the
board.
past, I have never refused to put a proclamation on the agenda because I have had zero criteria, zero authority, zero feedback. So I don't feel that that's my place to refuse a proclamation.
Mhm.
The only glimmering of maybe an idea that I had was the section in your trustee protocols, but it's not clear enough. This up here is the section in your trustee protocols that say proclamations are used to designate those being political. That is in your trustee orientation packet. That's the only direction that I have never said, I'm not putting a proclamation on the agenda because I don't like it. You don't pay me to like or dislike something that's in my mind. Yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to keep you from being in the middle of it.
Then
And if you come, if this dies, I will continue to never refuse to put a proclamation on the agenda.
I still
I
think.
don't have any, because I don't have any direction from you, and that's what this is. That's what this was for, was to give me some direction and some idea of what I'm supposed to do for you.
As the soon-to-be outsider here, I think that the compromise at this point is to have everything come before the board for the first year at least. Have any proclamation that comes across her desk come before you, and you guys are going to be setting the criteria in here as you're seeing things come across the docket.
You mean just kind of adopt this and live with it until December?
I think so. I mean, I think I would adopt this, strike everything from here, except for Arbor Day, which we're required to keep. And then for the next year, see what comes before you. See if there's, if you're getting 15 of these coming across the way, then maybe at that point you have to give some of the criteria to her before every single meeting you're discussing proclamations. Mm-hmm. But until that actually happens, I think that this is a good basis to start with. And then you can always change the policy later. But I think if we continue talking about this here, that nothing's gonna happen with this, and it's just gonna go to another workshop where we're gonna discuss things, and it's gonna come here again, and you're gonna be stuck in the circle. That's my take.
Do you want to make a motion?
I move that we approve the attached proclamation procedure as presented.
Can I add item 6?
Oh, adding item 6 to,
Except for existing state
Yeah.
or federal, do I do that?
yes, I would add that to it.
And
I would add that because that was part of our initial discussion in the workshop that we drafted this.
may I ask for a clarification on your motion?
Mhm.
Does that mean the criteria is for us to start out with,
Mhm.
to make the decision?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, everything is gonna come to you, and then you will use the criteria that's in this to make the decision on whether or not it becomes a proclamation.
Then I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Brent McWhirter and a second by trustee Cindy Simpson to adopt the recommendation for the proclamation. Everything will come to the board, and we will check the criteria this first year and go from there. And you recall the vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Fred Brooks,
Aye.
trustee Brent McWhirter.
Aye.
Trustee Cindy Simpson,
Aye.
trustee Shanice Bryan,
Aye.
trustee Betsy Harrison.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Moving right along, we have design review guideline discussion. Heather.
This is the first time you are seeing this, I just want to clarify that. This may be the first of many discussions on this topic. However, at a workshop a few months ago, and I believe it was November, the board had asked me to send our design review guidelines to Safewell, which is our land use consulting company, to indicate what is already included in our code, in the new land use code that we adopted, and what is not in there. They also asked them to cite our land use code sections.
Yeah.
Now, they were in the middle of doing that. Safeville, our person at Safeville spent a ton of time away from the office in an emergency due to fires up there. He got pulled away on another project. So rather than postpone this, I said, just don't include the citations. Tell me what's in there and what's not. We can always come back to it if we need to, but I don't want to wait on this. We may have a development project coming to you all in the next 6 months. And I need to know, at least generally, what you all think of these guidelines. And what is already in our code. Is what is currently in our code acceptable? So we can talk about this, but I did tell Safeville, I don't necessarily need citations, just color code, what's in the code, what might be in the code, that kind of thing. So that's what we did. Anything that is blank is not in our municipal code now. Anything that is yellow is in our municipal code, word for word from this document. And anything that is red is in our municipal code that was updated in 2019, and may have a little tweak to it. So what we need to do is, what you need to do is, you all as a board need to go through here and say, I like this, I don't like it, I want this changed. We need that type of feedback from you all.
Okay. Like tonight?
No.
Okay.
No.
But if I could just clarify for a minute, because of my understanding was really that we dropped all the stuff that's not highlighted.
That's correct.
And so really, the first chore is to go back and see if there's something we dropped that we want to put back in the code.
Correct.
Yeah. Which, for me, is almost everything. Can I ask a question? On the B where it says exterior building materials and that's in red, but then nothing after that is in red? Are we to assume the whole section
I think
should then be red?
just the highlight.
That's
Right.
right, because they highlighted sections as they were in there. So they did not highlight lighting, for example, because the entire section wasn't in there. They only highlighted a portion of the section that was in there. So the
I think they
section related
changed.
to exterior building materials is in our code, but it is not in there word for word.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna have to compare this to the code to see which wording we like better.
You can compare it to the code, or you can tell me what you like and do not like. And then I can take the next step would be, oh, I like this. If it's red, I like this section. What is the difference in our code? Because red is going to be in our code in some form, but it's going to be different from this document. So if you like the fact that it's in our code in some form, but you want it to say A, B, C rather than 1, 2, 3, that's what you tell me. I tell you, and then I bring you a document with track changes. The other thing that you all can do is we can do what we do at the planning commission level, and we can break this up. We can break it up by chapters, we can break it up by pages. That's what we do with the comp plan. We say, we're gonna talk about chapters 1, 2, and 3 here, and then next month, 4, 5, and 6. So you can break this down into bite-sized pieces as well, if you like that.
And if we do that, I'm just trying to think of a timeline, because you brought up possible development. If there's stuff that we want to get in the code in a timely fashion, when would that be?
2 months.
If you want to amend the code, it's going to be a bit of a lengthy process anyway, because anything that you do or anything that you want to see must go to the planning commission. It has to be noticed of public hearing.
Right.
The planning commission will give approval. So I wouldn't drag your feet, but we can't rush it. So it's whatever we get is what we get.
So there's probably not anything that we're gonna do that's gonna affect a summer development.
I would suggest, if you're going to do it in pieces, I would do section 1, building design and architectural details. I would do parking, loading, and property access. And I would do fence, walls, landscaping, and other screening. Those are the first 3 that I would work on if you were going to take this in bite-sized pieces. Because as you
Heather, could you repeat those that you just said?
Yeah, 'cause I'm gonna write them down. Hang on.
Just circle it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Table of contents.
I'm trying to get there. Hang on.
Number
I'm
one,
spinning. I'm spinning, hold on.
the building design and architect.
Okay, building design and architectural details.
Item number 6, parking, loading. And item number 7.
Landscaping.
Fences, walls, landscaping. Okay, so those we're gonna do first.
If we formalize those and if you make decisions on those, we can put those before the planning commission, do an ordinance, do public hearings, get those approved. Then we can do the next section and the next section. We don't have to do this as one giant document.
Well, no, let's not do that.
If you do it as one giant document, I would recommend taking one a month, but that's gonna take you.
It's gonna take us too
And I
long.
don't know that you want to spend that much time on this
No.
document.
All right.
I think we should do that. Just
Yeah.
do those 3 first.
So would you like me to put this on a workshop for an hour-long discussion? Do you want to schedule a special workshop to have a 2-hour discussion?
Our workshops are already pretty full for, the next 3 months?
Well, the last workshop in February is allocated to the Mancos Conservation District. The first workshop in March is allocated to the Creative District. The second workshop in March is open, but you are going to, at your first meeting in April, you're going to have your board members.
Right.
Yes.
Are we due for a retreat?
After the board members.
After the new board members.
Yeah, generally we do that.
Okay.
So we
I
did,
would say a
either
special.
a special,
work
because
session.
otherwise we're gonna be, May, I mean,
Yeah,
and we got that prospective development coming in.
What do you guys have it? So I will be completely unavailable. I will be working, but I will not be in this office. From February 20th to the 22nd, and from February 28th through March 11th. You do not need me there for a discussion if you don't, but, you know, I have to be there, it's not required. If you guys want to schedule something in there, I just need someone to take notes and send them to me. But, so what works best for you? After work, Saturday, early morning?
Is this gonna be a 2 hour? Is that what somebody said?
I do think that,
I think we'd get the
I
most
think a
done.
max of 2 hours,
From 3 sections, yeah, for sure.
because after 2 hours,
Yeah.
you're tired.
Because the other thing, this is kind of out of order, but I was planning on requesting that we add the Creative District Public Art to the agenda instead of doing a workshop, which would free up the first workshop in March.
That's up to you guys, if you guys want to talk about it for an hour or two, that's completely in your,
We could just add an hour onto that one.
Yeah, I think it's gonna take more than an hour.
Yeah, it's gonna take more than an hour.
Just come at 5 instead of 6.
That works.
Yeah, I can do that.
okay,
When's that date?
that is March 9th.
Do you think we need more time? Do you think we need to do this before March 9th?
I don't think we need to do it before March 9th. Understand though that I will be in that board meeting, but I will not be in the meeting. I will be done in courthouse until
Yeah, just get here as soon as you can. Have the cops bring you with red lights. And
Yeah,
Got
just,
a code red.
well,
Yeah.
I don't know what they have to do after court, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what happens. So,
I
Yeah.
understand.
well, if you're gonna have a 14-hour day, you might as well have an 18-hour day.
the last 3 days have been 14 hours. But, so it's, like I said, it's up to you guys. If you don't need me in that discussion, I just need somebody to mark this up and give me the notes. You know what I mean?
No, but we need guidance because we act like little kids.
All right. Okay, so I will do this March 9th at 5 p.m. You know what? We'll record it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and we'll try to like not talk over each other.
Okay.
God, Cindy.
I know, I'm feeling good, aren't
Cindy, you could be a good one. It's your language, like,
I?
to take notes. I nominate Cindy to.
Yeah,
Just this.
I think we need,
It's like,
I think we need a trustee leader on this
I do
workshop
too.
deal.
I nominate
It's
Cindy.
fine, I can.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
See, maybe we don't need the workshop, maybe we let Cindy do it.
There you go.
We may have different ideas about zoning than y'all.
Well, you could make a run at it.
Yeah.
And you bring your shirt.
Oh, I have. I've got most of it done, but yeah, I just need to compare it to what's in the code. Okay, so we're doing work session at 5 on the 9th.
And you're taking notes.
Yeah.
Leading the meeting.
Yep.
You're the guru on this.
So March 9th of 2022 at 5 p.m. workshop.
And I think we should record it as well. Always
Yeah,
keep
we
that
don't
back up.
generally record the workshops, but if we record it, I will keep it for 6 months, but I will use it for myself to go on these, an old list.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know if I can get here for that, but, and then, so what, So what do I do with the creative district? Well, we can talk about that.
We have to put that next.
Okay.
Okay, so then moving right along to items for the February 23rd agenda. Right now, we have the Mancos Conservation District workshop. We have the public hearing for Liberal Holdings, Inc. transfer of ownership. We have a public hearing for the Mesa Verde Ventures special exemption expansion of premises. We have updated trustee protocols and trustee orientation information. Can we wait on, are we helping you write that, or can we wait on that till after we have our new trustee?
Well, the updated trustee protocols and trustee orientation information have been reviewed by council, and they're making some recommendations because the trustee orientation information has never been reviewed. So we asked, I asked David and
I talked to Sam Lyon about how to.
so I didn't know if, I mean, we should have those in place before the new board gets here.
Okay.
Because the new members are not gonna know, but we'll train them. But them coming in cold, they may not.
And that's why you wanted our books back, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But again, it's board consensus, so this agenda setting item is for you guys.
I think we need to do it sooner so that staff has time to get stuff
Right.
rewritten.
I just was wanting clarification
Yeah.
on what it was. Okay, then the next one will be the DOLA EIAF for grant application for broadband funding. So, and
then I was requesting that we add, rather than having it a workshop on the Creative District Public Art, I was requesting that we put it on the agenda.
On February 23rd?
Will they have time, do you think, to come up with a, like,
Sure.
flash down?
Yes.
Put some flash on the stuff.
I will
Pretty
make sure
positive
there's a
on that.
fleshed out document that we can really look at.
Okay, that's a deal then.
Because then when you, I don't like to do this, but when you let TJ know, I will not be able to meet with her. It will be solely up to her to come.
Got
up with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're just out of pocket from now until then.
Okay. And there was nothing, just to confirm, this information on the design review guidelines, nobody reviewed it and had anything pressing that they wanted to say yes or no or do some research on?
So I don't know if it goes on an agenda item, but I wasn't real clear about what they were presenting to us for this.
could that go to the creative district?
It should, and I will tell you that the Creative District already met with her, and we have a pretty good
Okay.
understanding of what she's
I was gonna
trying
say
to
that
accomplish.
So I
that would
wasn't
be-
sure what she was asking.
For.
Yeah, like,
So it sounded to me like she's figuring out the funding for it.
yeah,
And maybe it's a
I got
public
that.
art donation. Is
She
kind
wants
of
to
where.
put it in Royal Park.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's the part that
so,
I didn't know.
like-
see, I didn't hear that at all.
Well, that part I do know because she
Ran out of
come to
time.
me.
Yeah,
she ran
out of
She approached me with this project. I suggested that she talk to the creative district, because I knew that we had a workshop tonight. The
Mhm.
creative district and the board had a
Okay.
workshop tonight. If it ends up being public art, then it's gonna go before you all anyway. I do know though that, when she approached me originally, she wants to put it in Royal Park, either over, where the other, bathrooms or here in the entrance.
Okay.
That's-
She's less fixed on that at
Okay.
this point.
So, but what she was just presenting this to us as this is an idea that she's wanting to do.
Yeah, like a
And,
public art
and she
donation.
kind of wanted our blessing, like
Yes.
whether we were in agreement with this.
Yes.
Okay.
And I mean,
I don't know if you
thought
put
it was
that-
a donation.
I thought it was
donated
too.
to the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what my take on it was, because she started talking about how
That's
various
why I
people in the
brought up
audience were giving the money
Donations
for
of
it.
public art.
Okay.
So do you want me to reach out to her and say, are you wanting to donate to the town? Here's the donation process?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or get it,
yeah, I think so.
clarify that?
Yeah, clarify what her
Okay.
purpose with that was. I mean, I think it's
Reach out and I'm sorry, I sent her.
yeah, no, I think it's a good idea. I definitely like that idea for it, but it's,
We still would have to, find out
Yeah, it
more
would
because
come-
if we
yeah.
got this.
I'll reach out, clarify, put it on the future agenda.
Okay, yeah, because this is a great idea, I thought, and then she's funding it and all, and enthusiasm, people actually came, so I don't want this just to go away.
Okay.
So I don't know what to do with it.
That's okay, that you just say, hey, you work on that, and I work on it, and I put it on the future agenda with some type of recommendation or request. That's how it works.
All right.
This brings up a question to me that came up with
Maybe we
public
should
art.
address
Okay, wait a minute,
Hold on. Oh, sorry.
go ahead. No, I wanted them to.
And that is that the way this is, and this is what Queenie brought up, and if it's a donation, it's gonna have to go in the ground. It needs some preparation.
Yeah.
So there's some cost to the town.
Or her,
Or
Because
cost
this
to
is
them.
like gonna have to be concrete or.
or her.
Yeah.
Or her.
Or
So,
her.
so
Or
she
her.
would pay
Yes.
for the time and.
That's just my thing. I don't want to put any more work on our staff. Our staff has enough to do without us adding.
And that was why I brought up this with regard to the creative district, because if it ran through the creative district could handle that issue. And they might even say, this is such a worthwhile thing that will cover the installation or something.
preparation,
You never know.
yeah.
I will clarify the exact scope of the project.
Sorry.
And the intent.
It just-
Let's say she was here, so she heard the workshop with regard to the
Yeah.
town doesn't want to do.
Oh, okay.
site
Yeah,
work
sure,
and
yeah, she was here.
She was here. But I will clarify the exact scope of the project.
Yeah.
Clarify whether she wants to donate it to the town, exactly where she wants it. And then I will put it on the future agenda for you all.
Thank
Okay.
you,
With the information.
thank you.
I can do that. It's not gonna be the February 23rd. No,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is adjournment.
So moved.
Okay, second.
All right, proclamations, woo, who knew? Thank you, nice to meet you, thanks for coming. We usually have a little more interesting discussions, this wasn't, I said we usually are a little more